Welcome everyone to this webinar, Business Agility through Agile Marketing. And during this webinar, we'll discover the possibilities of Agile Marketing and the power of applying Agile outside of IT. As also, we'll explore a case study and discuss the benefits of aligning your organization use of Agile across departments, along with the mindset shift that is required, of course. Instead of focusing on who you can sell to, the focus is shift to truly connect with who needs your product or services the most, while of course leveraging rapid iterations. But before we start, I'll show you more about our conference, Experience Agile Week, that will be held in Lisbon and online between the 25th and the 29th of September. So check it out. Cool, right? I'm just pumped for checking this video out. So this is our Experience Agile Week that will be held in Lisbon and online between the 25th and 29th of September. It's a 5-day conference with 3 events. So we have the World Agility Forum with leaders from Fortune 500 companies and well-known agilists that will explore the challenges, opportunity of an agile mindset in the future of work. We'll also have the Agile Human Factors that will explore the human side of teams and also the cultural impact on delivery and businesses. And last but not the least, the Experience Agile, which brings the stories, the approaches, the methods, the practice to the audience. Also with a new Agile Voices program for new trainers and speakers. So therefore, grab your ticket now at experienceagile.org before it's too late. So this webinar, as always, is organized by Agile Thinkers. We have 5 pillars from training academies, consultancy, events, and university, because we really believe that organizations must deliver remarkable products and service to the audience, always with an agile mindset. That's what we believe. So the Experience Agile Conference and this webinar is also sponsored by our lovely friends from Mercedes-Benz IO and EDP, great companies, great partners that have supported us since a long time. Both organizations will have job opportunities on our website and conference. So if you are someone looking for an opportunity in the agile space or trying to foster also new opportunities, our conference will be the place to be. With this out of the way, I'll present to you our lovely panel for this evening and morning in the US. So we have Maria Matarelli. Maria is dedicated to inspire people to push past limiting beliefs, leveraging their strengths and reach unparalleled personal and business results. Marie also helps individuals uncover what motivates them to leverage their personal strengths also too. And she helps organizations increase their speed to market and enhance their sales process to reach more customers. And we also have here with us Mark Lombardi-Nelson. Welcome, Mark. Mark is an agile automation expert with many years of experience leading businesses transformation through business intelligence and enterprise design thinking. Mark's track record of success includes the diverse experience of delivering scalable solutions, leading digital innovation, and creating meaningful outcomes for his teams and clients. Perfect. So, of course, you can book your seats also for the 11 and 12 of October for the Certified Agile Marketing Specialist course with our lovely Maria Matarelli. And with our conference ticket, you also get one course registration. So it's a huge opportunity to get both at a reduced price. Regarding our upcoming webinars, our next one is on July 1st with Annika Steiber, the author of the Silicon Valley Model. Annika will share with you the 8 models for how to access new technical knowledge and innovation. So before we go, feel free to use the Q&A for your questions, and we'll moderate all questions from the audience. This session is being recorded, so don't worry, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel after the webinar. Tomorrow, you'll receive an automated email from us with several details. So, with no further ado, Maria Nelson, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, David. Great to be here. Hello, everyone. Really excited to be able to talk a little bit more about Agile marketing today. So, David, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Thank you. And Mark and I would like to share with you how you can work toward getting more business agility achieved in your organization by leveraging Agile applied to marketing. A lot of what we talk about when we look at Agile across an organization is how can we streamline our process? How can we work more efficiently? How can we work in an iterative way where we can have a better quality output? And then we can also improve as we go. So we're going to share with you some of the companies we've worked with, some of the strategies that we've seen, and we're excited to be able to share how you can start to think about how applying Agile to the marketing that you do can achieve better results in business and also help business agility throughout your organization. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mark to talk about some of the differences between the traditional approach of looking at project and Agile.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maria. And so when we think of the differences between the traditional approach and the Agile approach, this is a really great visual from Forbes, seeing that when you look at the original plan and you're pursuing an opportunity, you see that there's a trajectory, though it's not necessarily realistic in regards to what that pattern actually shows up as. And so when you're looking at the Agile approaches, there's a series of iterative, small plans, small changes that you're going to take one on top of another that's going to lead you to a more accelerated outcome. Because as you're delivering those small incremental changes, you're getting real-time feedback. And that feedback is giving you the visibility and the insights to make more strategic decisions to be able to actually move your project, move your teams forward in the direction you're looking to achieve. And so when we think of agility, it's the ability to make changes quickly and with ease. And so this is, again, a really phenomenal chart and showing the difference between a waterfall approach in that gray, to where you have a plan that's step by step and you have your requirements, and then you go through your design and your code and you test and you ship. And it seems well, though oftentimes if you've worked in waterfall, you know it doesn't work. Something else happens instead, and you get stalled. While when you apply Agile, you're able to actually see what's happening in real time. You're able to respond to you're able to respond to the different, you're able to respond to the different situations that happen in real time. And with that situational awareness, you're able to make those adjustments as needed and then be able to move past those roadblocks to achieve the outcomes that are desired. And so this is a really great chart from Forbes that showcases that process. So as we're looking into the difference between, here's a really great graphic, and this shows you that traditional plan up front. You have that step by step process, and ultimately what you're seeing there is a one-off way to where you just go through the entirety without responding to any of the information that's changing, without responding to the market behaviors that are going to inform better decisions. You have a plan, you stick to the plan. Though what we realize most times, again, as you're engaging, is that things change, that you have to respond to market behavior. You have to respond to your team behavior, the dynamics that are changing in between bringing on new people, responding to customer feedback, responding to changes that are happening within your own industry. And so the difference between taking that traditional plan where you have everything up front and you want to get all of the specs and all of the scope, to where you can move it to an Agile approach where you're taking that iterative style and you're making those incremental changes, you're putting it in a time box, you're delivering, you're reflecting on that, And then you're able to come back and repeat that process. And what you find is that when you apply the Agile approach, you're actually able to see the benefits and you're able to make the more meaningful decisions that are going to actually allow your business to grow. When we apply it to marketing specifically, you're getting that feedback to where you can change. A quick example here is when you're speaking to your ideal persona, right? So when you're working or when you're communicating with your ideal customer, if you try a single message and you say, you know, here's the message that we want to send out. We know that this is going to work. This is one email campaign per se. This is one messaging sequence we're going to run. We're going to stick with that. And then you find that that sequence doesn't work at the very end and you don't change it, you're not going to get the results that you want. Versus a more agile approach to marketing, to where you send a message and you immediately see how that response goes. I literally just did this morning, where we sent out 30 different messages yesterday of different variability to a variety of different people in our audience. And based on the response rates that happened, we actually changed single digit words. I mean, literally one word in each sequence to just see what that change is going to make, how people are going to respond differently. And that's the type of attention that you're going to apply to marketing campaigns when you apply Agile versus taking a traditional approach. And no worries, Michael, wishing you the very best. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you for letting us know. And so as we look at Agile marketing across the board, an increase in collaboration. When we think of Agile, we're actually inviting people in to engage in a conversation, to welcome different perspectives, because when you're working with a cross-functional team, you have a variety of different people who have different access to information. They have a different level of understanding of what's needed. And they're able to contribute to the project. They're able to contribute to the overall team in a way where they can provide clarity and visibility into all of the things that are needed and the different perspectives that are valued to get you to the outcome that's desired. So when we're looking at that increase in collaboration, what we're really saying is we're able to pool the collective understanding of our entire team to make the best decisions possible. And when you facilitate that increase in collaboration, you're able to deliver faster, sooner. You're able to make those incremental changes to where you're seeing the real value. You're able to take action upon all of the skills that your team has and then maximize the output. Because when you take that action, you're able to share in that learning together. And now, based on the delivery model that happens, based on the results that come back after you've delivered that small change, you're able to inspect and adapt and ultimately improve upon the process that you're engaging in. So that increase in collaboration from applying an Agile approach gives your team the confidence to deliver sooner, faster, and that delivery gives you the visibility to be able to actually engage and make the micro improvements needed to really scale your project. And when we apply this to marketing, it goes down to the conversations that you're having with your potential customer base. It goes down to the products and the positioning of your products. When you think about your value proposition of how you're breaking down the communicated value of what your product, what your service does for your ideal customer, you want to consciously be aware of all of the different nuances in communication, of all of the different channels that your customers are engaging in, to be able to make those changes and be able to connect in a way that's going to incentivize action. And this approach gives you that ability. This is what a best practice from a marketing perspective looks like in 2021. I'm going to pass this back to Maria so she can talk to you a little bit more about the Agile Marketing Academy and the methodology behind this approach.
Thank you, Mark. So many of us have been using Agile for a long time. We've been applying Agile in launching a product to market. And what's interesting is that people think, how does this apply in other areas? And there's some very similar concepts in the iterative nature of how we'll release a product to market and how we'll market that product in an Agile way. And so what I'd like to do is introduce the concept here of the heart of Agile. The heart of Agile was created by Alistair Coburn, one of the authors of the Agile Manifesto. And over the last several years, there's been a lot of talk of scaling frameworks throughout the organization. And this concept of business agility. How can we be agile across everything that we do? And so what we notice is that, well, we're often agile in IT and launching products that get to market, we can also be more agile in how we market those products or services. So if we really want to achieve business agility, it's this holistic view of how can we be agile all throughout the product lifecycle, from development to actually marketing it as we reach the marketplace. So with the heart of Agile, Alistair talks about 4 simple verbs at the heart of what this is all about. And it's just collaborate, deliver, reflect, and improve. So if we can collaborate more effectively, the way that we look at this with the Agile marketing approach is we've actually built the Agile marketing framework on the heart of Agile. So as we're collaborating around what's the best messaging to put out, we will actually use the user story format that many of you may be familiar with in the software development realm, as we're looking at identifying what the requirements are for our product backlog. So with the user stories as we apply to marketing, the 3 parts of the user story are as a who, I need what, so that why. And we want to kind of go a little bit deeper into thinking about who is that end user that we're actually trying to reach with our messaging. And then what is it? What is the functionality, or what is the capability of what they're trying to achieve? And then why is that? Why is our solution the best solution for them? So as we can break down the user stories for who we're trying to target, with what message and why that message is important, what that allows us to do is to really fine tune and adjust how it is we're able to connect with that target audience. So we might want to split test and look at what messaging is most effective. Who are the who's that we're trying to reach that those messages resonate with most? And then we want to iterate through looking at what gets us the best response. So as we look at delivering something, we want to deliver something small and soon. We want to get something to market where we can actually gauge the real feedback from the end user. Do they like this product? Does it interest them? And is this something that they'd be interested in purchasing? And then if not, let's make some tweaks or adjustments and then put that message back out into the market. So here's where we want to deliver the funnel system and run our targeted campaigns towards saying, okay, which campaign is going to be most effective? So then we want to look at reflecting and reviewing data, looking at what's working. Is there anything that's not working? Is there something that we want to do differently in how we market the actual product? And what about how we actually engage as individuals, our team? How can we be more effective in how we collaborate? So we're going to be reflecting on the work, and we're going to be reflecting on the actual outcomes of our marketing campaigns, and reflecting on how we interact best as a team. So then we want to look at improving. Now this is where we want to split test and only make small changes at any time so that we can see what got us the better outcome, what got us the better result. So here, as we're looking at going through the cycle, it's really cycling through these 4 stages of the heart of Agile: collaborate, deliver, reflect, and improve. And as we're doing that, we want to get better every time in our messaging. We want to get better in how it is that we're interacting as a team so that we make sure that we are the most effective that we can be. So with the heart of Agile, this cycle really is one of the simplest ways to introduce the Agile concept to how we're looking at working. And so I really love the radical simplicity here. This isn't a complex framework. It's not something that is, super intense with many, many steps. It's literally going through and constantly iterating and looking at how we can improve and be more effective. So over the last several years, we've actually seen several marketing challenges. And these challenges that we've seen with companies really kind of come back to these 3 main categories. So I'd like to share with you what some of the main things that we've been seeing include. So the first one is not having the right message to market match. We may think that the messaging that we're putting out is the right messaging, but oftentimes, even though we might think we have everything perfect, it depends on what the end user actually thinks of it. It's not what we think is the best messaging. It's what is actually getting the results. And so this is where we really want to lean into having that empirical approach in how we're running marketing campaigns. We want to make sure that with what we're putting out there, that it's truly resonating. And oftentimes we see companies get some sales from the marketing they're doing. And so they think that that's good. They think that's the best they could do. They don't actually make any other changes. And they may not even be aware of what results they're missing, what might be right there that they're not able to leverage because we've never changed or tweaked or adjusted what that messaging is. So this is where that split testing comes in, where we want to make sure that, yes, we might have some messaging that's getting results, but what could be the better connection with our end user? What other ways could we try to reach them to see if we could do something even better than we ever thought possible? Another challenge that we see often with companies is that the campaign cycles run too long without review. So these campaign cycles, I mean, sometimes they take months. About 3 years ago, I was there in Lisbon, Portugal, speaking at the Experience Agile event and had the opportunity to work with a large insurance company. Now, this company had been around for a couple hundred years and had about 40% of the market share. And one of the things that we started to look at as I was working with their marketing teams is we started planning out some of their next marketing campaigns. And we're using visual funnels. And so as we were doing this, we realized that some of these campaigns would take quite some time to execute. In fact, the average time in the room was about 3 to 4 months for launching a marketing campaign. Now, I'm curious, comment in the chat, is that a long time or is that a short, reasonable time? So comments in the chat, what do you think of 3 to 4 months for a marketing campaign? Is that a reasonable short time, or do you think that is a long time? Go ahead and comment in the chat. We'll give just a moment for everyone to chime in. Okay, so we've got a couple votes coming in. See a vote for short. All right. Comments in the chat. Is 3 to 4 months short or long for a marketing campaign? All right, a couple people thinking long. A little bit of a mixed bag here. Yeah, it kind of depends, right? Like, what industry are you in? Has it traditionally taken longer to launch a project? Maybe 6 months, 5 months. Okay, so we were split down the middle, short and long. So, I mean, when we think about this, let's break this down a little bit further. If we're trying to tell people about our product, we're using Agile in development and we're ready to release that product. Now we launch the marketing campaign and it takes 3 to 4 months to get the messaging out. What that means is we've got a quarter of a year that we're being delayed in people hearing about our product or that they can purchase it. If we're using a traditional marketing approach, that could be a quarter of a year before people see that they can purchase this product. Well, that seems a little bit long to me, thinking that's a missed opportunity. If we were to do a minimum viable campaign, look at what could we put out now, get some real market feedback in a couple of weeks or a month, and then go back and iterate the campaign. That's how we would start to sprinkle in a little bit more of an Agile approach in how we work. Because if we're using the campaign that we think is going to work and something changes in the meantime by the time that we launch it, that could be rework that we have to do. It might not be as well as relevant as it was. Yeah, so change is coming. It will be even longer in another year or so. Yeah, sometimes, when we think about what could work, we're often wanting to get that messaging perfect, but there's a missed opportunity of what we're able to do now. So we really want to encourage companies to look at challenging the status quo of what is an acceptable time to get something to market, and actually looking at, can we try something? Can we run an experiment? Can we put some messaging out there so that we can actually go off of real market feedback of what people actually buy or do not buy, rather than what we think is going to work that we brainstorm for 3 to 4 months. Now, the third thing that's come up that we've seen is one of the other big marketing challenges for companies are that we are in a dynamic environment in the world that is constantly changing. So if we are not changing, if we are not inspecting and adapting, well, there's so many other companies that are. It used to be the case that Agile would provide a competitive advantage for companies. But now there's so many companies that are using Agile that you almost need to apply Agile just to be at that minimum level, at neutral, ground zero of what other companies are doing now today. So this is why we appreciate the opportunity to share these concepts of Agile marketing and how you can apply them in your organization, because it doesn't just stop at development. Especially looking at the last year, the last year and a half, where all the rules have been changed in how we do business. We've had different government regulations on whether a business can be open or not. We've had to leverage technology and working virtually in a way more than ever before. The way that we even reach our customers today is completely different. So I'd like to share with you a case study that launched the Agile Marketing Academy. This was the first company that we started working with, experimenting with applying Agile applied to marketing. And as we look at what these concepts are, how they work, this is something that can be replicated with other organizations. So I'd like to share what some of these basic concepts were and see some of the takeaways that we found that provide some great successes with Agile in marketing. So several years ago, I was working with Nick Cementa. We were working together. He was helping with business development. We were doing a lot of Agile training for companies. And we met in Chicago, started collaborating. And I was like, okay, if you're going to help with, we're going to do some business development, you should come to one of our Agile training classes and learn what Agile is all about. So this way, that's what we are selling. That's what we are promoting. And so it came to the class, and I remember Nick walked out of it and he said, can you apply these concepts to marketing? Can you apply these concepts in how you actually market a product rather than just how you launch a product to the market? His background was in marketing and advertising. And so I said, well, of course you could. Yes. And so as we were looking at applying this Agile approach, Nick pulled one of the clients that he had started to work with. Now, what happened was there was an initial increase in revenue right out the gate. And then they kind of stabilized, and revenue, from month to month kind of went down and up, and really had this upward trend. And so this company was doing pretty well, and they were pretty pleased with some of the results that they were getting. And, we started to look at, is this good? Are these results enough? And when you back out and look at the context, this ended up to actually be, over the course of a year, when you looked at what those results really were, if we were to carbon copy this forward to the next year or the year after that, what would that look like? And would that be the type of growth that this company really needed to survive? And as we backed out and looked at it from more of a distance, we realized, no, that's not enough. We are not pleased with that level of growth, because really, the product launch, we had some initial sales, but did it really connect with our client base? Because we didn't have continued growth. We had sort of hit a bit of a ceiling. What we were doing was working, but only to an extent. And that's not the type of growth that we were looking for real true sustainability. So what we started doing is we started experimenting, and Nick started working with this company on an Agile approach to how they did their marketing. So we started running these much shorter campaign cycles, started split testing based off of the user stories, started running through these hypotheses of what is it that we think is really going to connect. And what we realized that it's not just about who we're trying to sell to. We want to look at who truly needs our product. So within 6 months, we had over 300% increase on revenue. And within a year, we had over 780% increase on revenue. And it was absolutely mind-blowing, incredible to see this result in the increase in sales. And so I asked Nick, I was like, what did you do to get these results? And he said, well, I did the Agile stuff you taught me. It's like, yeah, but what part? Because not every company is going to get these results just applying Agile to how they do marketing. And so Nick broke it down for me. So what they did is they ran 5 campaigns to specific personas or target audiences using the user story format. As a who, I need what, so that why. And they were split testing what messaging worked with which type of end user and why that was the most effective messaging for that end user. So of these campaigns, my question to you is, where would you put your marketing dollars? Well, many of us would look at this and probably say campaign number 3, because that's what got the most response by far. So as we're looking at this, we realized that we'd really finally connected with the type of user that truly needed the product. And so when we looked at that, I mean, it's over 600% more response than any of the other campaigns that we ran. So let's break down what happened here. So the first campaign, well, let me back up. This company, let's talk about what they did. They sold acid-free coffee. So this is coffee that is more organic, natural, pure ingredients that was going to be easier for those people that were big into health, that didn't want to have a bunch of different additives and things that were in the product. Good for people that might have sensitive stomachs or people that had a physical ailment. Now, the way that they'd been marketing this product up until this time was they were looking at who needs this, who would like this product. This could help you be healthier. Try a free sample. Well, the challenging thing with that is that, yes, you'd get some interest, but a lot of coffee drinkers are really, really connected to the patterns, the habits they go through every day of where they get their coffee, going to the same coffee shop, making the same brand. And so not a lot of people really wanted to switch. So what we did is we ran these campaigns and we tried messaging, targeting specific people that we thought who truly needs acid-free coffee. And so the first campaign we ran was for people that had Crohn's. The second campaign for people with colitis. The third campaign for people with ulcers. The fourth campaign, people with pylori. And then we split test that against the fifth campaign for people that signed up with just a free sample. Hey, try this, it's healthier, here's a free sample. Now, interestingly enough, we did get some response from people that had pylori and still some interest from people for the free sample. But the free sample is all we had been doing up until this point. It worked, but it only worked to an extent. When we found the messaging to connect with people that had ulcers, what we realized was there's a lot of people that work in high stress jobs that are out there and they need that cup of coffee to get through the morning, to wake up, to get through the day in the afternoon. And it's a habit they've had for a long time. So even though they developed a physical ailment and they had ulcers, they would be in pain. Their stomach would be upset after drinking coffee, but it was a thing that they just didn't want to give up. They were so used to having their coffee every day that they just kept drinking it and pushing through the pain. So we discovered there were a lot of people out there in this situation. And when we presented acid-free coffee, we could actually truly connect on the message to market match. And by running these short campaign cycles, we're able to see which campaign really resonated with our ideal end user. And we were able to really connect and increase our sales quite rapidly. So that's what we did. We started to target people that were in high stress jobs, people in sales positions, business owners of companies, people that were just simply overworked in certain industries. And we would split test these different who's. With the what, the offer of the acid-free coffee, and the why, so you can drink your coffee and get through your day, still perform at your highest level and be alert, though not have that pain at the end of the day. And we could actually speak to these people about the specific messaging of, are you working all day and you've got a lot on your plate? Sometimes it feels overwhelming and you just want that cup of coffee to get through the afternoon, but you've got ulcers. This is something where we have a special blend of this organic acid-free coffee where it's going to help you be able to still drink coffee, get that extra kick and that boost in the afternoon, that the flavors that you love, and still be able to do that and get throughout your day without having the pain. Now, how much would that resonate with someone? I mean, through the charts. That's why we got this much of a response. And so it's incredible to see when you can really dial in on what's that messaging that would truly work with that end user. Now, did we still want to offer a free sample? Maybe. We could still try that as a marketing approach, but what if we doubled down on truly helping people that needed our product rather than just people where it'd be a nice to have? And using the Agile marketing framework helped us to really dial in on exactly what that messaging would be. In fact, that's exactly what helped us get to over 300% increased revenue in 6 months and over 780% increase in a year. So we've been leading this training class around the world over the last several years, over the last 5 years. In fact, from Shanghai to Singapore, Thailand, India, and throughout the US, and also with Lisbon, Portugal. It is incredible to see the response of people, the results people are getting applying Agile to marketing across different geographic locations, applying Agile and marketing across different industries, because the concepts, they work. It's a framework. You can insert a different type of product and still use the Agile approach to do this. So we're really excited to be able to be offering this course as part of the Experience Agile event. We've got a course coming up in October. We've also got a course coming up later this week, June 3rd and 4th as well. If anyone is interested in attending that, we can share more details with you. Let's talk a little bit more about, what is agile marketing and some other results that companies are getting. So really, it's this iterative process to get fast results and sustainable growth. So we want to get something sooner than 3 to 4 months. We don't want to wait a quarter of a year just because that's shorter than what it could be. It could be 5 or 6 months. Yeah, okay, so maybe it's shorter than some projects, but it's still not as fast as it could be. Because every time we put out a marketing campaign, we learn. We can learn if that works, or if it didn't work, if it failed, we also learn something there. We can inspect and adapt and adjust our approach. We also want to focus on the customer relationships that carry the most value. We're not trying to sell to everybody. We're trying to focus on who truly needs the product and who's our best customer. We can organize our marketing channels into filtering, educating, and selling. So we're not even necessarily going to try to go for the sale right there and then every single time we're running a marketing campaign. We might want to nurture our ideal customers and find the systems and messaging that's going to help bring them along the way so that we truly can engage them in understanding how this product is truly going to benefit them, and so that they'll, one, be a long-lasting client, and two, share it with others and help bring in other people that could also truly use our product. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark here to talk about the Agile Marketing Manifesto. As Nick and I were exploring these concepts of Agile and marketing 5 years ago, we realized as we were looking online that there was a group of people that came together and wrote an Agile Marketing Manifesto. Now, we're very excited to see that as we read through it, we agreed with everything that they said. So, these really are the concepts behind what Agile marketing is and how it can really help us. And it's really a shift in the mindset of how we work.
Thank you, Maria. And so as we walk through the Agile Marketing Manifesto, let's just go through the first seven, our first 7 bullet points here. First is going to be the validated learning over opinions and conventions. And this validated learning comes back to when we think of the framework, seeing the data that we're getting and being able to review that thoughtfully. And when we look at the validated learning, it's important to recognize, what are we validating? And as every organization is different, there's going to be key metrics that you want to pay attention to, key responses from your ideal audience. And you need to listen and generously, be attentive to what's going on inside of your campaign cycles, inside of, I saw a question earlier on the discovery process. You want to pay attention to each phase of that campaign and understand what part of the stage you're in to validate that learning, because that is the priority over identifying an opinion or a convention. It's always better to be able to use the data to make an educated decision on what we do moving forward. The second is going to be customer-focused collaboration over silos and hierarchy. And I can't emphasize this enough. You want to welcome your customers because they are the greatest source of information you're going to have. They give you the exact vocabulary, the words that resonate, the sentiments. They share their pain points in which the solution that you're offering, the service that you're offering, they give you the information you need to communicate that to other people. There's no better way to be able to grow your product, grow your organization, than listening to what your customers actually value, and then being able to share that story as social proof, as a validated outcome, and be able to continue that forward. So involving your customers often and early in your processes is much preferred versus having a silo and a hierarchy at your organization. When we think of the third in regards to adaptive and iterative campaigns over big bang campaigns, and I've seen this so many times, so many times in regards of some of the work I've done with companies, either building out different campaigns, building out systems and technology, giving the advice or as an advisor to what they can do and how they can move forward. We see the teams that do best respond in near real time. In 2021, the technology that we have access to really makes this process easy now. The things that we're seeing teams actually do is focus on the creative in the beginning and the strategic decision-making in the end, because we're able to use technology from a copywriting perspective, from a data analysis perspective, from a distribution perspective, in a way to really streamline that to where that original ask around, is 3 months too long for a campaign? It's a guaranteed yes today. We get data in real time now to be able to have the visibility to make better decisions in our organizations. So we must adapt and iterate in our campaigns rather than plan out a big thing, because in reality, something else is going to happen instead. And that, building on the second value, we want to listen to our customers to be able to apply that in that next iteration. So the third is absolutely valuable. The fourth being process of customer discovery over static prediction. And so this also taps on that conversation around what's the discovery cycle looking like. You want to make sure that the customer discovery is influencing your thought process, your team models, and ultimately the strategic direction of what you're going to be releasing next. As we're working with product teams, as we're working with teams that are prioritizing a higher service, you're consistently looking to up your game. And so applying that customer discovery process in your fundamentals of how you occur and how you execute your business is going to be significantly more valuable than just taking a guess based on, whether, again, it's an opinion, whether it's a statistic or a thought process around what you think could happen. Using the real data has so much more value from that customer process. Number 5, being flexible versus the rigid planning. Our flexibility is everything. As we know, as we've already highlighted, change is the only constant in this game. And in regards to the acceleration of what's happening from a technology perspective, from a skill set perspective, we need and must be able to be flexible in the way in which we show up and the way in which we plan our campaigns. Because the campaigns that are rigid, the campaigns that are waterfall-based, traditional, static approaches are no longer working, and they're no longer able to compete with the organizations that have applied this approach. The 6th is going to be responding to change over following a plan, as we just shared, right? Your ability to see what's happening and not just acknowledge it, to actually make the change. Like, that's the difference in between good and great teams. You can acknowledge a change is needed. Okay, what are we going to do? Got it. So your ability to say, okay, here's the small thing that we can change immediately. And that's why when we go back to those delivery cycles and we think of the small change soon, you can make that one-on-one building on top of an iterative approach. And that responsiveness actually gives you the ability to accelerate your growth and accelerate that connection between your organization, your company, your product, your service, and the ideal customer base. So not just acknowledging a change, responding to the change and knowing that the plan is going to change. So as you go through, I'm not saying don't have a plan, please have a plan. They'll be willing to change it. And in fact, encourage the leaders on your team and the managers actually executing, give them the permission and the confidence and the safety to make the changes that they know are best because you've empowered them to do so. And then the last is going to be many small experiments over a few large bets. And this goes back to the concept of split testing. So as you're going to approach, right, we have our user stories where we target our personas, and then we're going to actually execute on which of those resonate well. So when you think back to Maria's story around having 5 different outcomes from the coffee brand and seeing that the ulcer messaging and positioning in the customer audience responded best, that's the absolute pinnacle of what a good split test is going to do. And that happened because they had many different small experiments. And so you want to be able to build on that, and you continue that process. You double down on what works, though that doesn't mean you stop experimenting. There's always something you can do a little bit better. And oftentimes, if you build on top of that, that small iterative change, it's going to give you a better outcome than just saying, I have this huge idea. Here's this big thing. We got to just do this. It's going to take us a year to get there. Oftentimes that doesn't work. And we just want to make sure that we're responding to the best information and the best, organizations and customer feedback that we have. So as we're looking at, the breakdown of what works within Agile marketing campaigns, it's really important to bring up the 80-20 principle. And so this is a thought process. You can see a couple of these breakdowns or these examples at the bottom. 80% of the problems can be attributed to 20% of the causes. 80% of a company's profit attributed to 20% of its customers. 80% of the complaints also come from 20% of its customers. This is a fundamental principle in regards of business, in regards of really life as a whole. You can see that there's a pattern to be recognized. And if you actually focus and identify what metrics matter and who is responding to what, you're going to be able to see this happen. Again, in the exact example that Maria provided with the coffee business, we saw 80% of the profits were coming from one demographic. When you identify that, you recognize it's important to prioritize. So we also see that happen from a company perspective. When you think of the people that are actually contributing on a sales team as an organization, 80% of the profit generated from 20% of your teammates. Who are the highest performers? I've seen this in multiple organizations that I've walked into. And then how can you share the insights and the practices and the daily activities of those highest performers across the organization to lift everyone's performance? You see that the 80% of the sales come from 20% of the products, 80% of the sales comes from the sales staff. Again, this is that principle that breaks it down. And as you look into the different the different ranks and the different contributions being made, recognize that there are these natural patterns for you to be able to acknowledge and then to be able to actually utilize. So keeping that attention high, you're going to be able to see where you can reinvest. And then you can also restart that split testing process. So getting back to the experimentation, once you have your 80%, we know to double down there. And then you start looking at what are the other experiments to where you can find that additional gold nugget, because you want to continue building in the different markets that you're serving.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah, I always am impressed when I stop and think about the 80-20 rule. And I'd like to encourage you, look at your companies, for everyone out there. Like, what are the products that are getting the best results? What are the things that it is the 20% of the effort getting that 80%? And this is something where we can start to really hone in on that by using an agile marketing approach. It's so incredibly powerful. It blows my mind when I actually look at these statistics and these examples of the 80-20 principle, because it's true. If you really look at it and break it down, I've noticed this in my own company, that a lot of these things are true. So if we can be intentional about where we're spending our effort, that can get us greater results, in addition to working in an agile way, in addition to iterating, inspecting, adapting, and making those adjustments. So we want to share some case studies here with you from a lot of really large, successful companies. Now, we haven't worked with all these companies, but a couple of years ago, I started noticing that people were reaching out to us, asking us a lot of questions about agile marketing, and the increased demand for training went up. I remember turning to Nick and I was like, Nick, what's going on? I knew this stuff was good, but like, why is everyone just now starting to realize agile marketing is a thing? And I started looking online and I started to notice some of the biggest companies of the world are starting to use agile marketing. They're starting to talk about it. Other people are starting to take notice. Oh, wow, if it's good enough for Coca-Cola, they might be doing something right. Maybe we could try that too. So I just want to share a couple excerpts from some case studies that we've found where these companies are sharing what about agile in marketing helped them be successful. So let's look at some of these things here. So Coca-Cola was talking about how agile methodologies helped them with their World Cup campaign. So the approach that they had used to use was the traditional waterfall model, right? Many of us are familiar with that. And yet they had this stress leading up to the night before the launch that was overwhelming. So even though they had this supposedly predictable approach where you plan out every task, everything that needs done, in reality, it's not always that smooth. So when they used Agile, they actually finished weeks in advance of the deadline, safely weeks ahead. And so it's like, wow, okay, this iterative and incremental approach, because of the way and the nature of how we're working, we can get a minimal increment out there. We can start to see results immediately. We can start to then inspect and adapt and enhance what it is that we're doing. Also, Adobe, their senior manager of industry strategy and marketing, shared that agile marketing is the ability to adapt or refocus their marketing efforts quickly and successfully, and that this helps in response to changes in customer behavior, market conditions, business direction to benefit the market share or share of the wallet. So it's something that's helping to refocus the efforts just rapidly. It's being able to respond to what the real feedback is when we launch a campaign. And Salesforce. The secret to better content marketing is agile content creation as the X factor. I really, really like this quote from the principal of marketing insights at Salesforce. Matthew said, "We must realize the amount of marketing we must do is too great, and the odds of failure are too high without following the process of iteration." I mean, when we think about this and how dynamic the market is, companies, we are having to innovate now more than ever before. It's something where the ways that we've marketed in the past are just not going to work, especially in this digital world. So it's exciting to see how these different companies are getting these successes with Agile applied to marketing. It's incredible to see how it works across multiple different industries. And it's one of those things where we can start to apply these approaches, and we can start to do it now. We can start to do it with an iterative and incremental approach in a way that we haven't tried before. So at the Agile Marketing Academy, we actually developed the Certified Agile Marketing Specialist curriculum as the entry-level course, where we talk about all of these concepts that are the things that get the results of what we talked about with the clients that we've worked with. Now, we have practitioner level coaches and trainers. We also have our course dual certified with IC Agile with their ICP MKG certification as well. So would love to invite anyone that has any interest in learning more about Agile marketing, stay in touch with us, join us at the Experience Agile event, and would love to have you join one of our upcoming training classes where we walk through very specific examples on how you can apply Agile marketing. We walk through some small project simulations and really the mindset shift necessary to begin working more effectively in an Agile way as it applies to how we do marketing. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I just wanted to leave a few minutes at the end here for any questions that we would be happy to respond to now.
Yeah, thank you, Marie and Mark. It was quite insightful, really great. We have here questions from an anonymous attendee. He was asking, do you consider only a delivery cycle when planning and executing a marketing campaign? What about the discovery cycle?
I'm glad that you asked. Thank you. Interestingly enough, we've actually broken down the approach into discovery and delivery. That is one slide I did not choose to share today, but yes, there is a part in the discovery process that's absolutely necessary, because if we haven't really gotten clear on the problem we're trying to solve and the value of the solution to connect that message to market match, that's where we can sometimes miss our customers like two ships passing in the night. So yes, it is broken into a discovery process. We've actually developed 15 crucial questions to help us really connect on what is the problem we're trying to solve, and then identify the value of our solution in connection with that. And then we can actually build an Agile sales letter in the messaging, whether that's something that we put out over the internet, if it evolves into a commercial, some kind of media. But really, once you start to then execute an Agile marketing campaign, you can use an approach that's either flow-based or time-boxed, something like Kanban or Scrum. So there's different methodologies or frameworks that you could use in the execution. And we definitely have an approach that we talk through when it comes to that discovery process, because that is a lot of it to make sure that we're connecting properly in the first place. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Cool. Yeah, we don't have yet another question, people. Feel free to share any last bits so Mark and Maria can help you. Meanwhile, Maria and Mark, any tips, heads up that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, just want to leave everyone with a couple of thoughts here. Agile doesn't have to be as complicated as we sometimes think. And that's something I love about The Simplicity of the Heart of Agile by Alistair Coburn, because it really is truly about short cycles and then iterating through and inspecting and adapting through what can be those positive improvements. And I see a comment in the chat here from Bill saying change is coming, so it will be even longer in another year or so if your campaigns are taking months upon months. And I think that's so true. And really what we want to do is we just want to be thinking in this way and starting to incrementally improve in how we work. And you don't have to necessarily go completely 180 overnight to using an Agile approach, but we can start to look for those incremental improvements and start to get those wins and show those empirical successes as we go.
And I'm going to build on top of that. Again, those small changes are hypercritical. As Bill even alluded to, right? We're looking at change happening so quickly, and you're not alone. So if I was to leave you with anything, is to recognize that there are so many resources available for you to make these small changes and get started, and for you to be able to know and have the confidence that you can do this too. It is simpler than any outdated or complex approach. This is truly at the heart of Agile. You collaborate to deliver, you reflect to improve. And when you apply that to your marketing process, you're going to see phenomenal results.
Perfect. Thank you, Maria and Mark, once again. I hope the audience enjoyed as much as I did. So if you want to know more about this, you can book your seat on the 11th and 12th of October for the Certified Agile Marketing Specialist course with Maria Matarelli. And as I told you earlier, with the conference ticket, you also get one course registration, so it's a huge opportunity. Our coming webinar on July 1st with Annika Steiber, she will share you 8 models for how to access new technical knowledge and innovation. And yes, thank you once again, Maria, Mark, everybody for this session. And see you next month and in September at Experience Agile Week. Thank you. Have a nice day and evening, morning, whatever you are. Thank you.